And Mr. Chopra, it's really good to see you again here before our committee. I know in your written testimony, you tout the tens of billions of dollars that CFPB has returned to consumers. But again, you failed to mention how persistent inflation has caused harm to consumers, especially for those lower income families that are having trouble meeting ends meet. I'm going to refer to New York Fed report recently. According to that report, about a third of balances associated with maxed out borrowers have hit a delinquency in the last year, and these are the borrowers using 90% or more of their credit limit. So can you point to any enforcement actions that are actually helping maxed out borrowers that are at risk of default?
Yeah, actually, many of those borrowers have low credit balances and are getting up to it. And they're often some of the people who are the lowest income people in our society. They're the ones where just a little bit of extra unfair fees or a little bit of a scam really can send them into a financial panic. So I closely monitor this data, and I really appreciate all the work being done to focus on them. I know you were a big part in fighting junk fees and leading legislation on that, so I want to thank you, Congresswoman Kim, for that. But really, we have to be focused on how those low-income people are getting by, so I really appreciate the question.
Sure. Are you saying that there is some of the maxed out borrowers are actually getting some money back to consumers in that way?
So we try, most of the redress that is administered is done by the companies themselves. So we typically order redress, and we do know that the types of cases we have been pursuing, they're not ones that are really focused on the highest income. They're the ones who are often the most vulnerable consumers. So we have looked at things in the automobile area, in the credit card area. Often those are the ones that I think are the consumers you're asking about. But we don't really do a matching in that way because there's some privacy issues around that.
I'm just pointing it out because I want the CFPB to really focus on addressing the root causes of indebtedness and the high cost of living. But let's switch gears to another matter. It's our understanding that your subject matter experts are collaborating on issues that include big tech in finance, artificial intelligence, and more with the EU through the informal dialogue. And you know that I sent you a letter regarding that informal dialogue, and our committee staff have told me that they finally had a briefing after about 8 months of requesting it. So I'm glad you did it. But can you commit to providing minutes of the meetings that you and your staff are having with the European Commission officials, as well as the list of subject matter experts involved in your foreign policy dialogue?
I apologize for the delay. I think it's because those meetings did not really occur until much later. There was 1 or 2 meetings with me and European Commission officials. I participated in something related to financial literacy. I think,
okay, then
Congresswoman,
let me reclaim my time.
Well, I just want to say, I think we've posted the information publicly, but I will go ahead and check to see what we've posted.
I just want to give your commitment that you will not export or embrace the EU laws in the form of U.S. financial consumer regulations. Can I give your commitment?
We won't export U.S.?
Yeah,
I mean, I actually think the way the U.S. does things, we should not be cutting and paste China. We should not be cutting and paste Europe. If anything, I think we should be promoting a lot of the way that the U.S. promotes competition and privacy.
Thank you. The CFPB also released interpretive guidance related to buy now, pay later loans on May 23rd of this year. But I am deeply concerned that this is another example of the Bureau exceeding its authority by effectuating a substantial policy change through interpretation or enforcement. So do you agree that a substantive policy change in how the Bureau regulates an entire class of financial products requires a formal APA rulemaking? And can you commit to using formal rulemaking for any change in the Bureau's approach to buy now, pay later?
So my predecessor, Director Kraninger, started the advisory opinion program to provide interpretations. I think a lot of companies want to know, how does the existing law apply? and what should they expect. So we went through a process to do that, and I think it was welcomed by many. But I'm happy to talk to you further about it, and it's also
I want to be
open for
respectful.
comment.
My time's up too, so